going to cut the music. So this is a Vamp deck centered around kind of the Jack Kiefer idea. We'll call it his idea. I don't know whose deck. A lot of people are doing this. But the main thing that we're doing that is different than maybe other Vamp decks are doing is we're running the full 8 spells. And then we're running a bunch of pump. I only have 3. I would probably run 4. I will say this deck is pretty quick. All right, let's do some bookkeeping here. This deck has been doing pretty well. I want to say 1. I'm going to call it 1.1 because as I've written here, my experience with this deck is medium. I disagree. 100% Shard. I disagree. I had a brutal game this morning against Red Green Dinos that I ended up winning. But we sat around a lot. I think it works pretty well. I'm sure it works better with horses. But this deck's got a few things going for it. Number 1, you can get a bunch of quick wins if that's what you're looking for in Arena. Number 2, I guess just that was number 1. There is no number 2. I was just saying I played a slow game, and you can't slow down the board. But I beat Red Green Dinos with it. And that deck is tier 1. Like, as far as tier 1 in Arena is concerned, I think it's only Red Green Dinos, Merfolk, and I could say Control. I don't really have a colors that I would say is the best, but maybe Control is in tier 1. The thing about Control is if it's done right, it's very good against the tier 1 decks, which kind of makes it tier 1 if you can beat the tier 1 decks. And that's about it. Actually, Black-Green Value Town I would also consider tier 1. But only the Value Town. The full Explorer I would consider like 1.5. Or if you're playing Lurking Chupacabras, I might even say tier 2. Because I don't think Lurking Chupacabra is good enough. But this deck is very close to being very good. And I just don't have enough experience to say for sure. Green Orb, thank you for those bits. Yeah. Appreciate it. And thanks for building the Commander hype in case we get to that challenge today. All right. Other cards. Sky Marcher, Aspirant. I think I only have 3, so that's what we're running. Now, some of these cards I cut. I'm going to have to double check the deck list, but I'll put in 4 for now. Yesterday's card of the day. Martyr of Dusk. That's not what I wanted. What is... Oh.
Sweet, sweet value.
There we go. Got to get used to those new soundboard, the new tech. I'm running 1 Sanctum Seeker, maybe 2, which is What's the big guy who draws you cards? Oh, let's just check my deck list. Let's stop fooling around here. This deck list I made yesterday, though, and I think I made a few changes, and he might not even be in here. Shoot, I made several changes. All right. I'm going to risk it, folks. I'm going to open up Arena. Hopefully it will not show up. Otherwise, I'll be booted from Arena forever. But I need to get the right deck list here. I'm actually not running Maverick. And maybe I should be. Maverick does generate tokens. You do have to attack, but it's pretty easy to attack with Martyr of Dusk since you're, even if he dies, you're going to get something anyway. But he's not in my deck right now. He's a 3-drop. He's kind of slow. Like 3 drops on up, we kind of want to be casting the spells, Queen's Commissions, and Call of the Feast. All right. Arena is open, folks. NDA violations beginning. Okay. Got it. Arena is now closed. Back to business. We're down to 2 Adantos Vanguard. We're down to 3 Martyr Dusk. 1 Sanctum Seeker. 3 Sky Marchers. Champion of Dusk. That's who I'm looking for. This card's sweet. I only have 1. I would probably play 2. And I did end up cutting the Vanquisher's banner. I play a good amount of removal, which a lot of Vamp decks weren't doing early on. All right, Jester. See you soon. I'll save that Prowess deck for you. Early on, Vamps were just like kind of playing like Merfolk, where you just slammed as many creatures as you could. But White and Black has plenty of good removal. And I think you should use it. I'm at 2 bindings. I'm at a full 4 baffling ends. And 2 profane processions. So this super long match that I played against red-green dinos today, I had 2 profane processions in hand, and the guy had out 2 Shaper Sanctuaries. Which is what made the game take forever. Because if I could have just dropped my profane processions and cleaned up his board, it would have been no problem. But the fact that each trigger was going to give him 2 cards was quite annoying. I think that is it in this deck. One Legion's Landing. I would definitely play at least 2. 3 would be max. But I would certainly like 1 more. I just don't have it. And then we'll throw in the lands. 6 swamps. 4 Forsakens. I actually need to fix this. I need to add a few more swamps. I've had a lot of problems coming up with enough swamps. How are we doing? 60, there it is. 21 lands, folks. Because Arena. You're supposed to run this deck with 24 lands. I tried to run it with 24 lands and got flooded every game. I've been running with 21 lands and been doing basically fine. Had a few color issues. Path of Discovery. I should get in on that train. I don't know if I have any. That's actually another deck we might talk about making today. I would like to get to that. Oh my god, I have no idea what time I'm supposed to end. Because my daughter's home from school because of the snow, and I normally have to pick her up in a half an hour, but I don't. I might trample on Ninjo's stream here a little bit. Anyway, this is it. And nothing special here. But it's pretty interesting the way it works. You can save your Vamps, like if you don't want to trade with creatures, but at the same time, because you're making a ton of tokens, you don't necessarily have to save your Vamp. If you want to offer up trades that are good for you, I think you should. Like if you can trade a 1/1 lifelink token for a Drover, then I think you take that trade. If you're playing against Merfolk, I think you take pretty much any trade you can get, because they're definitely scary when they have a lot of creatures on board and then drop a Kumena. So I think a Merfolk is fine to trade against, especially with Martyr Dusk, because of the sweet, sweet value. I'm not a big fan of chump blocking, though. I'm a big fan of trading, but not a big fan of any kind of chumping. We have a good amount of life gain that we can get from the Queen's Commissions, the Call to the Feast, and the Anthem effects. So I think it's better to go down pretty low on life, and then you start swinging with a bunch of life linkers to get back up to life. Sky Marcher's pretty sweet. I would probably play 4 of these. Adanto's Vanguard would probably be the first thing I cut. We all know it's a sweet card, but in this kind of deck, it's not the best. And you guys are saying Mavrin. There's lots of times where we're not attacking, where we're just trying to build up. Like the payoff of Sanctum Seeker and Bishop of Rebirth is incredible. Champion of Dusk. I love Champion of Dusk. There's still a lot of Moment of Craving floating around, especially in those black-green decks. So Adanto's answered pretty easily. It's done some work for me. It's a good card. So this is my deck. The changes I would make, I would add another Legion's Landing if I had one. I could just buy another Sky Marcher. I got tons of uncommon wild cards. Cut both these. I don't know. How do you spell Mavrin? With no vowel in between the V and the R. I kind of like my removal suite now. I don't really want to take out a Profane Procession. I could cut one Baffling End, maybe. The thing about Mavrin is he does want you to attack. And as I said before, sometimes you want to save your Vamps. Sometimes you want to trade them. If you have a flying Sky Marcher, then Mavrin's, of course, is awesome. Yeah, I agree with that too, California. Making them lose 4 life is pretty sweet a lot of times. Like my Hadana's combo deck, lots of times I have a dive down, so I'll block. Then they'll sacrifice 4 life for indestructible, and then I'll dive down so I survive the turn, and then they have to think about doing that again next turn. Now we do get a good amount of life linkers here. From the 4 Call to the Feast and 4 Queen's Commission, so that helps get back your life from Adanto's Vanguard. Are we at 60 right now? The Baffling End is super nice for the Ascendancy. For Radiant Ascension, Radiant Destiny, and Sky Marcher Aspirant. The Baffling End is sweet. Profane Procession is sweet. And Ixalan's Binding is all sweet at getting us to 10 cards on board. Yeah, if they drop that Squire's Devotion, that's a whole different story. No. We have Immortal Sun and we have the Champion of Dusk. But ideally, we win the games fast. That's ideal. Like you go Aspirant into Martyr of Dusk, into Queen's Commission, into Legion's Lieutenant and Radiant Ascendancy or something, and that should just do it. Anyway, I'm having fun with Vamps. I didn't think I was ever going to really do a Vamp deck tech, but I'm enjoying this. And I recommend it to you guys. Like, I just kind of had all these cards. I didn't really have to buy anything for this deck. And I'm really just one Legion's Landing short. I'm sure I have a Maverick Fang because we all got one. I mean, I bought some of these other cards. I bought Profane Procession and I bought Immortal Sun, but that was back in the day. So it was pretty cool. Like, no way can I build a Merfolk deck nearly as good as... Because Champion gets you the cards immediately, and one refill is enough. Like, you normally get 4 to 6 cards off Champion, and you get them when you cast. Twilight Prophet has to survive the turn. It has to be ascended. But Champion, we talked about this card of the day a long time ago, and I said I liked it. I'd never really built a deck with it, but I still like it. You get the instant rewards, and that's, I think, better than Twilight Prophet. Let's name this. I don't know. I think Commissioned and the Call of the Feast and Radiant Destiny is the core of this deck. I wouldn't start shaving things off the core. Like, what are you going to get with... Well, plenty of stuff you can get with Forerunner, especially with the Sanctum Seeker and Champion of Dusk. I kind of understand that. But I don't think I would ditch any of the token creators. Like, I would cut maybe an Aspirant if I wanted to stuff in a Forerunner. That's about it. If you really talk to me a long time, you might convince me to cut a Profane Procession, but I really like that card, so it's pretty hard to talk me out of that.